The Detroit Lions do not have a practice today because they are anticipating getting ready for joint practices between themselves and the Jacksonville Jaguars, which starts tomorrow. Now, tomorrow will be for loyal season ticket holders only, and then Thursday is the last practice that is open to the public. That will be a joint practice between the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dan Campbell has already said they're going to be more one-on-ones and starters that will play in, like in the practice. So this is kind of exciting. I'm hoping we see a little bit of those just a little bit of the starters when it comes to the game on Saturday. That game will be at 1 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, not like the late Friday that we had in preseason game 1. But what we're going to do today is we are going to look at the 53-man roster projection from Pride of Detroit after the first preseason game. I actually made this video yesterday, but I forgot to unmute my microphone, so that kind of sucks. But let's take a look at the quarterback situation. Now, this is from, I want to say, Eric Schlitt and his thoughts on our 53-man roster. That would be we keep 2, which is Jared Goff and Teddy Bridgewater, with the odd man out being Nate Sudfeld and Adrian Martinez, and Hendon Hooker is on the NFI list. Now, what I think is going to happen is exactly this. Nate Sudfeld will not be on this team come our opening game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Teddy Bridgewater has about 3 weeks to get it together. Then you have the fact that Jared Goff, unless he's hurt the first game, he's going to have ample time to get the playbook and all that stuff. And if he does have to come in, it'll just be probably a ton of runs before they open up the playbook a little while later. So I think that it's going to be Jared Goff, Teddy Bridgewater as the number 2. I think Adrian Martinez is waived and then placed on the practice squad, but I do not think he makes the 53-man roster. Don't forget that the Detroit Lions, as well as every other NFL team, can have an emergency quarterback that does not count against the 53-man roster. Moving on to running backs, I think this is kind of intriguing. If we keep 5, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jason Kabinda as the fullback, Craig Reynolds still makes the team, and Jamar Jefferson out, being Mohamed Ibrahim, Devin Ozigbo, and Benny Snell. Now, the thing about this is Craig is hurt, but Dan Campbell said in yesterday's press conference that he expects him to be back pretty soon, and hopefully Jamar as well. Jamar got hurt actually at last week's practices Wednesday against the New York Giants. It was like one of the first plays of practice. I was there, and he wound up getting an ankle rolled or something like that and was limping off the field, and we haven't seen him since. Mohamed is also hurt as well. He got hurt in the game on Friday. Looks like another lower leg injury, and that's unfortunate because he was really trending to make running back 3-4, and at this point in the preseason, you've got to have the reps. If you don't, you are not going to make this team, and you also have to show value on special teams. I know Craig and Jamar play special teams as well, so it's going to be intriguing to see how that turns out when it comes to the last 2 preseason games. Now, when we move to wide receiver, we've got our usual St. Brown, Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Marvin Jones, Antoine Green, and Dylan Drummond. We keep 6 with the Denzel Mims, Trinity Benson, Maurice Alexander, Chase Cota, and Trey Quinn being not making the team. Now, Trey Quinn is actually no longer on this roster. He was waived yesterday, and we have the suspension of Jamison Williams. Now, this here is intriguing because you have a 7th-round pick making the team and an undrafted rookie free agent who literally had no team call him but the Detroit Lions for a tryout back in May, working his way to the 53-man roster. That would be the greatest story ever told. The surprise here is Denzel Mims not making the team. The Detroit Lions did trade for him, but it's a very kind of light trade. I think he has a better chance, in my opinion, than Dylan. But if Dylan is outperforming him as he did, because he didn't even play due to injury during the preseason game. And like we talked about, injury, we saw what happened to Tom Kennedy. This is a what can you do for me now business. And if Denzel Mims cannot play and show his value on special teams or on the 53, I know they're both, but he will not be on this team. So that is kind of intriguing, and we all know about Jamison Williams. Now, the tight end group, we don't have to bring that in. Brock Wright, Sam Laporta, and James Mitchell. I think it's going to be obviously Sam Laporta, Sam Mitchell, Sam Laporta, James Mitchell, and then Brock Wright in that order. Now, when it comes to the offensive line, this is quite intriguing. We got Decker, Jackson, Ragnow, Vaitai, Sewell, Glasgow, Sorsdahl, and Jermaine Afedi, with Nelson, Awasika, Ezzy, Paulo, Pincher, Galvin, Swoboda, Cecil, and Bobby Hart not making the team. And we actually waived the international players program player yesterday, Ross. We waived him with an injury settlement. So he is kind of like under the Tom Kennedy situation right now. Interior defensive line for Aleem McNeil, Isaiah Buggs, Broderick Martin, and out of nowhere, Levi Onwuzurike, with Benito Jones, Christian Covington, Charles Smith, and Corey Durden not making the team. Now, basically between last year and this year, you've got Broderick Martin, who was clogging up the middle in Friday's game, and Levi is basically going to bump out Benito. Benito played last year. That's pretty intriguing because Levi was like dead to rights, and then this guy comes out, makes some plays. He looks pretty good out there. As far as edge is concerned, Aiden Hutchinson, we keep 6. Charles Harris, John Kaminsky, Josh Pascal, James Houston, and Romeo Aquara, with Julian not making the team, even though he had a pretty outstanding preseason game 1. But I think it's going to be tough for Julian to make the team. I think it's going to be tough for James Houston to make the team. I can see neither one of them making the team. Remember, James Houston was waived for the 53 and then put on the practice squad, and we had to pull him up. I'm not sure if both of those guys can go on a practice squad or even if they will want him, but I think we keep James over Julian. I really do, because 2 reasons. One, I think James is Brad's draft pick, Brad and Dan's draft pick. And the second reason is maybe Julian, his time has passed with our team. I know he played very well, and it's going to be interesting to see what the last 2 games. It's going to be so many battles that are going to be fought with these last 2 games. And we're going to see some quality players get cut, but we knew that already. We have been prepping for that for quite a while. Outside cornerback, let's take a look. Cam Sutton, Jerry Jacobs as number 1, 2, Will Harris, and Starling Thomas, with Stephen Gilmore, Khalil Dorsey, and Kobe Richardson, who we just picked up like 2 days ago, not making the cut. Will Harris, with Emmanuel Mosley being on the PUP. That is tough, man. I really believe that there's somebody out there that the Lions are watching in the preseason who's going to get cut that could possibly be in this team. Nickelback is going to be Brian Branch and Chase Lucas. Safety is going to be CJ Gardner-Johnson, Kirby Joseph, Tracy Walker, Savion Smith being the 4th, with Brady Breeze, Brandon Joseph, the undrafted free agent, and Ifitu Melifonwu not making the cut. This is, again, a situation where another draft pick of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell could not make the team. He will be the first Detroit Lion player drafted under this regime that has not made the team. Even, again, if you make the practice squad, it counts. He will be the first one. If he is waived and not put on the practice squad, he will be the first player that has not made this team as a Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell draft pick. And last but certainly not least, the special teams is going to be Jack Fox, Scott Daly, and Riley Patterson beating out Parker Romo. I guess he dropped the John. I'm not sure why, but Riley Patterson takes Parker Romo's spot for the kicking competition. I think we keep whoever doesn't make this roster goes on the practice squad. I think Riley gets the edge up because we traded for him, but if Parker is the better player, then he'll get the job. And then Riley may be put on the practice squad. But again, I don't know if the Detroit Lions are going to want to let this guy go, seeing as how they gave up draft capital for him. So there is the Pride of Detroit post-preseason game 1 53-man roster prediction. For the most part, I pretty much agree with this. There are a couple things that I would change, but we don't have time to go into them in this video because we're about to hit the 10-minute mark. So let me know what you think in the comments below about the 53-man roster prediction. And don't forget about the live stream watch party. Seats are filling up. They're letting me know. So get your tickets for week 2, September 17th this year, our home opener against the Seattle Seahawks. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.